Good morning. I am Mario Gangemi, the chair of the MDTA Capital Committee, and conducting this morning's meeting, which I call to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and live streamed on the MDTA Capital Committee page. All members of the Capital Committee will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I do ask everyone on the line, please mute your phones, computers. Anyone who is presenting or answering questions to turn their video on when speaking, and when done, video off and audio back on mute. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media that have pre-registered to comment at today's meeting. So we can move on to agenda item number 1, which is review and approval of the Capital Committee open session meeting minutes of March 7th, 2024.
So moved.
So moved by Member Cox. Need a second. Second by Member Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I think that was all of us, so fantastic. All right. So now we can go to Bill Randall for contract 2022-02A, which is construction management inspection services. This is the second set. So Bill, you are up.
Good morning, members. I'm here to present the second round of contracts for the MDTA CMI services. These contracts are for the construction service management related to the supplemental and supporting of the construction phase of the Maryland Transportation Authority Consolidated Transportation Program. The consultant shall perform services in the following general areas. Service shall include, but not limited to, constructability review, conduct detailed inspection of all construction work, include erosion sediment control contract compliance, maintenance of traffic, detailed material testing, critical path method cash flow schedules, document control and assist authority compliance officers, and monitoring and enforcement of the MBE program and goals. Here seeking approval for the next round. The 6 include GPI for a $16 million contract. They met the MBE participation overall goal for 26% and 1% for the VSPE. RK&K, they also met the 26%, but they also had an overall goal of 28%. And for their VSPE, they have a 1%. They met that. For WSP, they met 26%, and also they have a 28% goal and a 1% VSPE. WRA, they met the goal at 26%, including a 1% also with the VSPE of 1%. JMT met the goal of 26%, 1% VSPE, and AECOM also with the 26%, 1% VSPE. So I'm seeking approval for this round of contracts for the next 5 years for the services.
My understanding is that we've worked with all these firms before, so we have a good track record. So that's 1.
Correct.
That's correct. Okay. 2,
Correct,
I assume that this splitting out of contract amounts is related to how they ranked in the technical review of their submittal.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
How many contracts did we give out? How many contracts did we give out last month?
6.
6, I think.
6 more. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a total of 12 for this total package for a 5-year duration.
And the max last month was 16 million also, I think, right?
Yeah, last month we had 16s, 14s, and 11 millions last month also.
Okay.
And this month we have 2 16s, 3 14s, and 1 11 million. And there was no
Are
protest.
These for all, sorry about that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Member Sneed.
I'm gonna let Lee finish. And then
No, I'm finished. I just
have
was
Yeah.
trying to remember. Right.
one. Are these for specific facilities or generally for all facilities?
They're for all the facilities.
Okay, I just wanted to see if
So I think,
we had.
yeah, you call, when you have a project, you call and sign up an engineer basically, right?
Yeah, we sign up construction staff to stay at the project, to monitor the program, the contract, the inspection part of the contract, the testing part, and also the QA QC of it, the duration of the contract.
Are there any new safety training standards that have come out of the FSK related to inspection or minor repairs are embedded within these contracts, or is it too recent for that to have happened?
It's too recent for these because these were, went through the rounds, and we decided who got the contracts back here a few months ago. So everything's been approved prior to the FSK.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a consultant over at the bridge now?
Yeah, we got a team of consultants over there from various groups.
And they're
But
from the
we're
older contract. They're from the prior contract?
No, we are actually using state highway services because they have federal funds in them, and our contracts do not have federal funds.
I see.
So we had to tap into state highways.
Is that the way it'll go for the new bridge as well?
No, we are actually going to seek 3 contracts for that when we go for the construction of the new bridge that will have federal funds.
And it will be one of our group of 12, I guess, or 3 of our group of 12.
Well, not out of these. We'll have all multiple firms seeking to look to get a contract.
In other words, member Gaines, it'll be a all new contract. It won't be related to this particular contract.
I got you.
Yeah.
When you put these out, you'll have to follow the federal standards because you're using federal dollars like Buy America and Davis Bacon and all that. That's why you can't use these on this particular activity, right?
So no, that's not the reason why. Is so we can recoup the monies that we're spending for inspection services, since the feds are paying for the services here.
Okay.
And I don't think CMI services are Davis Bacon anyway.
No.
Okay.
Having been on that side at one time. Member Cox, do you have anything to add, or is there a motion for approval?
If he doesn't have anything, I'll move we approve it.
Member Cox is having technical difficulty, so he's jumping back on now.
Okay, we'll wait for a second because I want to make sure the good news is we got quorum without him, but he's here, so let's give him the opportunity. Member Sneed, I do want to thank you for jumping on, knowing you were not around, so appreciate you doing that.
You're always around with technology, right?
Well, that's true, but you might have been really busy, and still appreciate you jumping on.
No worries. I hear in Maryland it's hot there too, so maybe I should just stay.
It's definitely warm, but I'll take it. I'm sick of the cold.
Yeah. You get early springs now. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right. So Member Cox, do you have any questions on this construction management and inspection contracts?
No, I'm good.
All right, so I
I'll
will
make a
entertain
motion, we
mo-
approve then.
Member Gaines'
Second.
motion, member Sneed seconds. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Is that you also, member Cox? I didn't hear an aye from member Cox. I think we lost him again.
Lost him again.
Well, we have three of us. So the
Think it
motion
passes.
carries. Yeah, the motion
I'm
carries.
good.
I don't. Oh, there we go. So you're good. So you got an aye from member Cox. All right. Okay, now we're going to Christopher Paris, and Mary said that we're allowed to beat him up because he's one of the new kids on the block. We talk about the MDTA strategic plan. So Christopher, welcome, and tell us all about the strategic plan, and we promise not to beat you up too terribly much.
Understood. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to state for the record that I'm Christopher Paris, manager in the Office of Policy, Innovation, and Performance. I will be providing an overview of the process that MDTA underwent for updating the strategic plan. I am also seeking the committee's approval to bring it to the full board for final approval at the May board meeting. MDTA's existing strategic plan and accompanying roadmap were developed several years ago in 2019 with additional updates done in 2020 and 2021 respectively. The time had come for us as an agency to update the said strategic plan and accompanying roadmap, and the timing also aligned with a new administration coming in. In May 2023, strategic advance was held at MDTA Harry Hughes with MDTA senior leadership in attendance. During the advance, a SWOT analysis was performed to help identify key themes and focus areas to help us achieve overall strategy to revamp and update the strategic plan and roadmap. During the drafting of the plan throughout the strategic process, it was evident that MDTA's greatest strength are our people and the team at MDTA. So we wanted to make sure that all MDTA employees were involved with the development of the plan, not just senior leadership. To help achieve this, we asked employees to vote on a MDTA vision and mission statement that they best believed represented MDTA. A survey via SurveyMonkey link was sent to all MDTA employees via email, and over 200 employees responded overall. From June 2023 through December 2023, work sessions were held with senior leadership during designated meetings devoted to working on the strategic planning process. This planning process helped engage stakeholders across the organization in terms of defining a comprehensive assessment of what our strategic plan should look like. The new strategic plan is one that envisions how MDTA can deliver on the governor's commitment to building an efficient and equitable transportation system that harnesses Maryland's economic growth and our economic growth in our own region to drive billions of dollars in new investment, protect our environment and our neighbors, and connecting people with employers. The new strategic plan aligns with Maryland's Transportation Plan, or MTP 2050. MDTA is dedicated to advancing MDOT's commitment and working in partnership with the communities it serves, promoting equity, environmental protection, and sustainable communities while connecting people to the places where they live, work, and play. Each of the MDTA strategic plan elements align and directly support a guiding principle and goals within the MTP. One example is MDTA's goal to modernize the transportation network, which is built upon the MTP's guiding principle of modernization and supports the goals to deliver system quality that will help enhance safety and security across the board. This plan is people and teams focused. The plan will be posted on the MDTA intranet and internet. That way it's easily accessible for MDTA employees and partners. In total, there are 4 goals, 24 objectives, and 16 key focus areas and initiatives within the strategic plan. The plan will help lay out the foundation for MDTA in the upcoming years. The plan also contains the roadmap that I mentioned earlier, which will span 3 years from 2024 to 2027. The roadmap will be a living document, so and will be updated as needed in future events that would follow. Our roadmap was first introduced in 2022 and has helped MDTA employees see how their jobs are directly connected and correlated with MDTA's strategic plan overall. I know that was a little bit of a mouthful, but are there any questions or comments in regards to anything?
Anybody with any questions? I think you did a pretty good job of presenting that. And the summary was great too, so.
Good job.
Go ahead, Member Cox.
I say, good job.
Oh, got it. Thank you. And anybody else have anything to ask or add?
I do have a question for you, Mr. Ferris. Is there within the strategic plan any information regarding making some of the facilities multimodal in nature, accommodating other modes moving forward, especially with the equity analysis you had mentioned previously?
Yes. So in terms of that being captured on the strategic plan, I believe they're on our roadmap in terms of expanding our reputation as a national leader and ensuring like safety and facility security and employees of customers and facilities. That will be, while it's not listed in direct detail in terms of interact with multimodal, it was a small capture in terms of how our facilities, in order to ensure that in the upcoming years, that could potentially be an avenue that we would be able to go through.
Member
So
Steen, I think that.
is there any mention in the document of multimodal? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Multimodal.
Because the strategic plan, let's say, you know, if implemented, all the components of it, it's something that should be considered as a long-term vision. It'd be short-sighted if we didn't have a multimodal consideration, especially with the challenges we have people across a lot of our facilities, the congestion we face with the bottlenecks at our bridges and tunnels. Having alternative modes under consideration is a key piece, or at least the future. I know they're harder to implement on certain facilities or impossible, but on others, there's something that could be considered moving forward. Things like transit lanes or ped bike lanes, constructability, feasibility analysis should be a component that's performed as we build our newer facilities or rebuild or reconstruct. I just want to make that point there just so that we're not kind of glossing over it, because plans aren't meant to be shelved. So we have some verbiage in there. It's at least a starting point, a building block, consideration in the future. And I think our charter would have to be altered for that as well. But it's something to consider if you're developing a long-term vision.
Absolutely. I'm in agreement. So I know, like you stated, we do have under our goals that it is kind of slightly highlighted in terms of like under our goal on page 5 in terms of expanding our reputation as a national leader in terms of evaluating, modernizing MDTA's transportation network. And I think while that is a small piece in there in terms of some specifics, there, like, we can take a look and see if there's something in terms of like having it stated out in terms of multimodal specifically.
Yeah, it might be a separate plan we develop that branches off of the long range plan that's more targeted, something to consider in the future and how to implement it agency wide.
Yeah, and yeah,
work on the document.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we do have like a small mention on like the road wrap in terms of like pedestrian and bike lanes that we do have like currently like on our Hayden Bridge. So there are some small mentions on there, but bringing up valid points.
So one,
Thank you.
Mr. Hartford wants to weigh in. He's got his hand up, so I'll let him speak. But before we do that, Member Sneed, I think that this is probably something that we ought to have discussion on. Obviously, there's some significant challenges in doing that. So obviously, we got to be careful what we commit to. But I think it is something we should discuss because times have changed and there are expectations, and I certainly understand that. So I think for future, it's a good future topic for us to have. So I think we should entertain that. So Jim, the floor is yours. What you're still muted though.
Thank you.
There you go.
Jim Harkness, Chief Engineer. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in a little bit here. I think we were intentional about including the bike and ped accommodations in the roadmap as our indication that it is something that we have done in the past and we are continuing to do moving into the future. It is something that we are engaged on major projects as well as even what you might consider minor bridge replacements in terms of coordination with local and state government in terms of plans for the roadways that we help cross our facilities as well as our facilities themselves.
Great. And was transit one in consideration as well? I know you mentioned bike ped.
Yeah, so transit is not called out in this particular one, but for example, in the Bay Crossing study, we had both a bike ped as well as transit focused community meeting, virtual community meeting for the listening sessions for those modes. So it is a collaboration that we carry out frequently. So and another example is on the ETL with our park and rides and coordinating with Hartford Transit and MTA in terms of making sure that we could accommodate them at our park and rides.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. I know you work 24 hours a day.
Yeah, right. Especially these days.
Not exactly. No.
23 and a half. Jim, thanks for raising your hand and getting jumping on this. So Mr. Parrish, you actually need an approval from the committee to advance this to the full board. So I understand that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay. Any further discussion from the team? So is there?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Member Gaines moves, we
Second,
approve.
for the master plan.
Member Steed seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 That was on the fourth one, so aye from me. All right, fantastic. Christopher, we didn't beat you up too much, so tell Mary we were nice.
I'll let
All
her know.
right, Kim's on.
Appreciate it.
She's going to tell us about the board operating policy, specifically related to the amendment for the tolling contract modification. So Kim's, good to see you.
Yeah, good morning, members. So in follow-on to
Morning.
some discussions I know the members had at the last committee meetings and board meetings regarding approval specifically related to our very critical tolling contracts, staff developed a potential amendment for your consideration to the board operating policy. So I know there's some confusion about, do the modifications to our tolling contracts require board approval, or are they just for informational purposes? So what we're recommending is a change in the operating policy to make it very clear that any changes to our existing tolling contracts or future tolling contracts will absolutely require board approval. That makes it clear for staff across the board, clear for the members, so you know what the expectations are, again, for these very critical contracts to the agency. And so what I've attached for you is a proposed resolution, because that's how we would adopt that change. And then the new operating policies attached, and you'll see there is some very specific language added, and I kind of highlighted that for you, that just requires any approvals, awards, and modifications to our toll-related contracts, and any future successors will have to come to the board for an approval. And those typically require BPW approval too, so it'll just be part of that overall approval process.
Any questions? I mean, that was pretty plain when I read it. So I think it
Thank you very
should-
much,
So they
Kim.
want it. They
Yeah,
want to
Kim,
come
that's
through our
great.
committee, Kim.
Go ahead,
And
member.
when it comes through our committee though, they go straight to the board, not through our
No.
committee, right?
No, we would still process them through the committees like usual, and typically the tollings we take to capital and finance. We go to both committees and then the full board for approval.
So the resolution doesn't need that language because it's somewhere else, right?
Yes, correct. Sort of the processing part of it doesn't, this is really controlling what the board, how it has to come to the board for approval.
That's a good question, member Sneed. I like that. Any other thoughts or do we're not voting on that today. We're voting on that as a board.
So you're just approving it to recommend it to go to the full board, and we'll also
Okay.
be presenting this, I'll present it to finance too as well to get their approval going forward.
We just happen to be the first one up. I understood.
That is correct. Yes,
Um,
sir.
Any?
I move for approval.
All right, member Cox moves for approval. Member Sneed, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, that was all of us. Thank you very much, Kim.
All right, thank you.
Too easy. Probably had all the discussions ahead of time, so that's good. All right, so now we get to wrap up with Jennifer Stump on the update to the CTP process and additions. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jennifer
Good morning.
Stump. I'm Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the Consolidated Transportation Program process and additions. This information will also be presented to the full board on May 30th. Each year, the Maryland Transportation Authority releases the CTP, which presents MDTA's ongoing and new capital projects for a 6-year rolling period. The draft CTP is presented to the board in June of each year for approval, and following that, it is presented to local elected officials and citizens throughout Maryland for review and comment. It is then revised and presented as the final CTP and presented to the board in November for approval to be part of the governor's budget to the Maryland General Assembly in January. The CTP is separated into 3 parts. The first is the construction program, major projects. The second is development and evaluation program for major projects. And the third is system preservation minor projects. Major capital projects are listed individually, and the minor projects are usually grouped together and shown by category of work. The construction program, major projects, and the system preservation minor projects programs include ongoing projects and those projects that are scheduled to begin construction within the 6-year period. The D&E program contains those major projects which are being prepared for possible future addition to the construction program. Projects are moved from the D&E program to the construction program as funds and resources become available based on the merits of the projects. For project selection, MDTA's capital projects originate from a variety of sources. Long-range capital needs includes planned rehabilitation or replacement projects based on life cycle. The expected useful life of a component does not provide an exact rehabilitation or replacement date, but gives an idea of when the MDTA should begin planning and budgeting to address it. Inspection findings used in tandem with life cycle estimates to confirm rehabilitation or replacement is necessary as scheduled or to expedite a project when it is needed ahead of schedule. Regulatory compliance includes projects for EPA mandated stormwater management. Increased capacity needs based on traffic forecast recommendations. And local priority letters or legislative requests established each year as Maryland counties and Baltimore City are asked to submit a list of priorities for the state transportation system. Once identified, projects are prioritized based on customer needs for safety and security or increased capacity through improvements or system preservation. Funding availability to budget for identified projects is based on MDTA's 6-year financial forecast, which considers estimates of traffic and revenue prepared annually, the operating budget and capital budget, debt service payments, the potential need for future bond sales and toll increases, and compliance with financial standards. The fiscal year 2025 to 2030 draft CTP to be presented for approval in June includes 13 new projects. 11 of those projects are detailed in Attachment A. There are 2 additional projects that were added since mail-out. I'm going to mention those first. A portable radio replacement which will be a multi-area project. It is funded for engineering and construction in the amount of $7,569,850. This is to replace 860 portable radios as they're nearing the end of their useful life. The existing radios are no longer being serviced by Motorola since the end of December 2023, and parts to repair in-house are only available for a limited time. The second is replacing the Francis Scott Key Bridge. At this time, it is funded for $1.7 billion in construction and $2 million for the planning phase for the NEPA work. This is to design and construct a replacement for the Francis Scott Key Bridge. For the remaining projects that are on your attachment A, we have maintenance and repair of the Curtis Creek Drawbridge. This is a key bridge project funded for $100,000. The I-695 Curtis Creek Drawbridge requires monthly, quarterly, and yearly maintenance of the electrical, mechanical, and structural systems. While repairs and maintenance are funded through the operating budget, this capital project allocation is designated for the purchase of major repair components that can be capitalized. We have rehabilitation of the Curtis Creek Drawbridge Basco Piers. This is a key bridge project funded for $1,905,913 of engineering at this time. It's to rehabilitate the Basco Span Pier foundations and related equipment on the Curtis Creek Drawbridge. The submerged portions of the Basco Span Piers have deteriorated to the point that rehabilitation is required. The next project is to update phone systems. This is a phase 2 for multi-area, currently funded for $600,000. It's to continue updating the phone system by replacing outdated equipment that's no longer supported by the manufacturer. Capitalization is limited to equipment cost, and this project specifically funds the replacement of the equipment. Next is to replace the 895 bridge over Lombard Avenue. This is a harbor tunnel project currently funded for $200,000 in engineering. Constructed in 1957, the I-895 bridge over Lombard Avenue is slated for complete replacement to ensure ongoing operability and service to the public. The next two projects are listed together. It is to resurface the northbound and southbound I-95 from the Tidings Bridge to the Maryland 24 interchange. This is a Kennedy Highway projects currently funded for $1 million to resurface northbound and southbound lanes of I-95 extending from the Tidings Bridge over the Susquehanna River to the northern boundary of the I-95 ETL Northern Extension Project just north of the Maryland 24 interchange. This project includes shoulders but excludes ramps. The next project is miscellaneous structural repairs inside Fort McHenry Tunnel. The I-95, this is a Fort McHenry Tunnel project currently funded for $600,000 in engineering. Following a recent study that identified necessary repairs, this project will undertake structural rehabilitation within the Fort McHenry Tunnel. The next project is for on-call miscellaneous paving repairs. It is considered a multi-area project currently funded for $12,093,000 for engineering and construction. This contract provides for repairs and rehabilitation of bituminous concrete and Portland cement concrete pavement and the removal and replacement of pavement marking along MDTA roadway. The next is the Bay Bridge Queue Detection System Phase 2. This is a Bay Bridge project currently funded for $180,000 in engineering. The queue detection system will monitor and manage queues during lane closures at the William Preston Lane Memorial Bridge. It will ensure queues are within the new 2-mile tolerance. This project is the second phase needed to complete the system. The next project is for pier protection system at the Bay Bridges. This is a Bay Bridge project currently funded for $600,000 in engineering. It is a vessel protection system installation for the eastbound and westbound Bay Bridge spans. The next project is a Fort McHenry Tunnel Maintenance Building Renovation as a Fort McHenry project. It is currently funded for $275,000 in engineering. This project is to address issues with lower level floor plan layout, upper level locker room and break room deficiency, and building windows leaking. And the last project is FSK Building 305 roof HVAC and windows replacement. It's considered a key bridge project currently funded for $500,000 in engineering. This project is to replace the roofing system, windows, and HVAC system at Building 305 on the FSK campus. The roofing and HVAC system have reached their life expectancy, and the windows are also being replaced to address water infiltration issues. This concludes the process and additions presentation. Thank you.
Are you out of breath now?
Just a hair.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Jennifer? I'm going to
Right,
assume
I've got a
that
question.
your protection for the Bay Bridge was an added item also.
That was
Yes.
my question too. Was that recently added or has that been there all along?
It's recently added.
Yeah.
And I got a question, Mr. Chairman. As far as the Francis Scott Key Bridge replacement, is that called, Jennifer, is that estimates on that at this point?
The 1.7 billion.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's the estimates we've been given at this time. I'm not sure if Jim is still on and wants to give any more information, but that is the estimates we have at this time.
Okay, thank you.
And Takeste's got his hand up. I suspect he wants to jump in on probably the Bay Bridge one. So go ahead.
Yes, that's correct, member. I just want to, add the information that the Bay Bridge pier protection was in the allocated reserve. It was later in the years, in the end of the CTP. We just pulled it earlier, because of what happened recently. So I
Yep,
just want
understood.
to mention that for the record.
Now we appreciate you jumping on. Thank you much.
Sure.
Thank you, Takase.
Anybody
I
else
just
have
have one
any?
question.
Yes, sir. Go for it.
With the reconstruction of the bridge, do some of our projects have to be realigned so the bottlenecks don't get too bad, in terms of phasing? Like if we had to do a segment of an 895 project that's a bridge or tunnel, we know traffic is moving to 895 and 95 tunnels right now. Do we have to phase it? So we have to do those after the FSK completion, or are we just going to kind of bite the bullet on that congestion 4 period? And I know Jim's probably going to.
Yeah, and since he helped, I'll let him address.
Good move.
Yeah. So, Member Sneed, it's sort of a combination of the things that you mentioned there. So we would both be looking at projects that we would need to defer because we normally go through a very kind of rigorous planning phase in terms of project slotting across the 3 crossings of the river. And so with this unexpected project coming into play and having a significant duration, obviously a full impact to diversion routes, we are having to assess what we're seeing in terms of impacts and allowable closure periods, reduced from what we were normally used to, and then we're adjusting our projects based on that. So there will be projects that are being slid out. There may be projects whose maintenance of traffic is having to be reconsidered, because we have to deal with the ability where maybe we would have allowed some daytime lane closures on a project, say on 895. Now we would have to go nighttime only, and that may affect durations and things like that. So, it's kind of cast a bunch of projects into a new light.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yep. Any further questions? We can take the spotlight off Jennifer now. Thank you so much.
Excellent work,
Thank you all.
Anybody else have anything to add or any further questions, or is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved
I'll
by
second
member
it.
Cox, second by member Gaines. There's never any discussion on that. So, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
That was everybody.
all.
Well, thank you, everybody. Good discussion. I think we've got some future